Okay. I mean, it says we're going. I just have to assume that that is the case. Obviously, last week we had a bit of a debacle with the audio on the show. I'm sliding my microphone now. I'm sure that was fucking grating. Um, but yeah, an absolute disaster. The audio just fucking cut out um, for some reason at the end of the show. So this week, I am working with a new setup here, and I hope it's coming through better. The trouble is that this is a pre-recorded episode, so I won't be able to really check it until after. I've run every test. I have an audio meter running down here, and it looks like it's pretty solid. It looks like it's coming in maybe even a little bit loud there as I tried to slide the mic away a bit. This is a new mic, so I'm still getting a feel for it. It takes a little while to get a feel for how like a new microphone picks up. And I do have to apologize before we get started here to the comment section because you guys were shouting at me. You were letting me know that there was a problem, and I was so wrapped up in what I was talking about, which was Herschel Walker. We'll get to it hopefully today. Herschel Walker has been apparently I can't confirm that he's been jacking off to OnlyFans, but he's been having some kind of social media interaction with OnlyFans stars, and he was getting a bit of a lashing from, I guess, some political opponents because of it. So I thought the story was very interesting, and I was trying to convey that to you folks. But for some reason, the fucking microphone just faded as I was getting into it, and then we talked about a guy who died surrounded by a bunch of snakes too. That fucking weirdo. So I'll try to recap what I was getting into last week in this week's show. And I'm doing a pre-record this week because I have to go to the New York Boat Show is today. So I have to go. I'm gonna go try to interview people there, see if I can get some decent man on the street, which I do for work. I can't promise anything. The thing about man on the street is you really have no idea how it's going to be until you get out there and do it. You don't have a lot of control over it. Like, if the people you're talking to are complete fucking duds, then you just wasted a couple hours of your day. I would say for every one that gets to air, there might be two where you go out and it's just fucking miserable. Either nobody wants to talk, or nobody's saying anything interesting, or sometimes it just doesn't work out. So hopefully this will. The events are always the best things to do. I feel like people are always in a talkative mood, and I've never been to the boat show before, so I figure if nothing else, it'll be a cool little Friday excursion. But unfortunately, that means I have to pre-record the show, so I can't be there to do the live stream tonight. In any case, audio problems and my absence this evening aside, I do ask that you subscribe, you follow the social media pages, you like, you share, you tell your friends. That's what the big tits are on the screen for. So that even if the show is marred by the shortcomings of the host and his inability to perform a simple live stream, you will at least get to look at a nice fat set of tits at the beginning and end of each show. And I think that's a huge selling point. How many shows are doing that for you? And there's a lot of, look, let's be honest, there's a lot of bad live streams and a lot of bad podcasts out there that people are sitting through that don't include big tits. So as bad as this one might get, at least big tits. So check out all the different social media pages, facebook.com/The Savage Crew, and Mike Montone on YouTube, or if you just search Sacktap Live on YouTube, or if you're watching this on YouTube, just subscribe to the page that you're watching right now. Those are where you can find the video live stream. Instagram at Gary_Moyler, Moyler. That's the place to be for fresh Uncle Dave videos from time to time. If you need any other incentive to follow it, if you want to keep up with your good old Uncle Dave, follow at Gary_Moiler on Instagram. Gary Moiler is he acts as courier for Uncle Dave. He receives Dave's messages, sort of like Al Jazeera with Osama bin Laden, when Al Qaeda would just send them the videos and then they would play it. That's how Dave likes to communicate to the people. And of course, at Mike Montone on Twitter. And what else? The podcast, the Savage Sacktap. This is also released as an audio podcast. So if you're in your car or whatever, or for whatever reason you don't like looking at big tits at the start and end of every show, then you can get this as an audio podcast and listen to it that way. It's the Savage Sacktap. It's available pretty much wherever podcasts can be downloaded. iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, all over the fucking place. If there's a podcatcher that it doesn't appear in that you would like to find it in, just let me know and I'll submit the old RSS feed. By the way, I'm drinking Power Drive this afternoon. I fucking love this shit. This is not a paid endorsement of any kind, although I'd be happy if Biotest paid me to promote this stuff. But if you're looking for a great kind of energy supplement, there's no caffeine in it, but it just perks you the fuck up and gets you going. I usually have one after I've had my coffee in the morning. So I have a glass of water, a nice big coffee, and then I have a Power Drive, and it really just fucking turns everything on. So that is what we got going today. Okay. What do you say we do it, folks? Because Mikey's got a boat show to get to. Patrick Mahomes is a top-notch QB. His brother is a top-notch douchebag, and because of that, the Chiefs must lose. My feelings on this clout-chasing asshole, and my sincere apologies once more to the comment section in this week's Savage Sacktap. It starts right now.
You're listening to the Savage Sacktap. It's not a podcast, it's not a half-cast, it's just a quick shot to the balls to help you finish off the week. We're cutting through the bullshit, filling your Friday with rage-fueled logic, and cracking a few jokes along the way. So grab a bag of frozen peas. There's a Savage Sacktap coming your way.
Smooth, lascivious, salacious, outrageous.
Unfortunately, I will need a little bit of the screen, so I'm going to have to get the titties out of here. Just a moment. Gotta replace the titties. They'll be back later, folks. They come back at the end of the show. That's how we do things here. We love a big set of tits. I am Mike Montone. This is the Savage Sacktap, or of course, if you're watching the stream, Sacktap Live. I do want to, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, what happened in last week's stream, we'll take a little look at it here. Just a sec. It was incredibly embarrassing. Just horribly embarrassing. Just looking like a complete lazy-eyed idiot. Here we go. Where did it fade out? Ah. There are fucking ads in here? Son of a bitch. More embarrassment. Jesus Christ. Let me, I'll mute this while the ads play through. Yeah. We're off to quite a start today, aren't we? What the fuck is this? Oh, that's why. I clicked over to another video. Here we go. It's fading. Are we fade? A little quieter here. Oh my god, it's so fucking quiet. It's almost completely out. I had no idea this was happening. So quiet. And people in the comment section were like, hey, dumbass, we can't hear you. You're fading. I paid them no heed. I paid them no attention whatsoever. Oh, it was so low for so long. And now it's just completely fucking out. And this is going on for, I want to say this was about 15 minutes. I'm just fucking miming to myself like an asshole. I'm sorry to the comment section who were shouting, trying to get my attention. I am just from the bottom of my heart. I apologize because that is just wow. I'm glad I know it gave you a good laugh to see me there like a complete fucking idiot. So punishment fits the crime, but just terrible. And the standalone video is up if you want to watch me kind of the whole process of me making just a complete and utter dumbass out of myself. It's up at the YouTube page. Tremendous. What a fucking Friday night. Anyway. What are you gonna do? These things happen. This is a low budget operation. I think what may have happened is that the interface I was using to stream the audio for the show runs on there's a battery in it, and I think the battery just couldn't hold up through another hour. I think you're supposed to use it for real short, quick hits, and I was using it to run an hour-long fucking live stream every week, so I think I just kind of drained it. So I'm using a different mic setup here, and hopefully this will not be a problem. The audio meter does appear to still be running swimmingly, so that's nice. And okay, I'm going to be incredibly fucking paranoid about audio for quite some time now. So you're gonna hear me fretting about this because I did not know that shit had fucking happened for a good 15 minutes. So this is going to be a thing of great concern for me. I have PTSD. I have SPS. I have shitty podcast traumatic stress disorder. Anyway, what I had been talking about at the time was, of course, obviously Joe Rogan getting all sorts of shit in the media. This week, there's more this week. Joe Rogan is trending on Twitter today because that's what the lib pussies are calling him. I guess they think that's funny because of this Neil Young spat with Spotify. They're all in a fucking uproar over it. And he was getting I forget who he was getting shit from last. Oh, it was the doctors who signed that. All these people claiming to be fucking doctors who weren't doctors signed a petition to get Joe Rogan banned from Spotify. It's just people do not like. Well, I shouldn't say people. I should say there's a small group of very vocal jerk-offs in this country who just don't want Joe Rogan on Spotify, as if that's going to stop people from listening to Joe Rogan. Like, that's it. That'll be it. Like, there will be nowhere to house Joe Rogan. Right. Okay, get the fuck out of here. But the point I was making at the time was that Joe Rogan is not the only man's man who had been getting grief in the media that week. NFL legend Herschel Walker was also coming under fire. He's been in the world of politics, I guess. I did not realize that that Herschel Walker was into politics until I started following this story. But he found himself at the center of a bit of controversy this week. I guess he's running for Senate in Georgia, and this article says, a review of Senate candidate Herschel Walker's Instagram account shows he follows several accounts with links to racy material. One of the accounts has a name not suitable for a family newsletter. Several others also have accounts on OnlyFans, a social media platform popular with porn stars. And I guess I love this fucking quote from, I guess it's his opponent here, the guy he's running against, who says, stalking and domestic abuse are disqualifying by themselves, which I had no idea that Herschel Walker had stalking and domestic abuse allegations or whatever. But a porn addiction would be a significant third strike. That's just handing the Senate to the Democrats. While personally sad, it's definitely conduct unbecoming of a candidate for elected office. That guy really seemed to blow off the stalking and domestic abuse. Yeah, those things are terrible, but he's also jerking off to pictures and videos on the internet, and that's the straw that breaks the camel's back. Follow your wife around and, get handsy with her. That's one thing. But if you jerk off, you can choke your wife as long as you don't choke your chicken. Is what these people are kind of saying. That's what it feels like. Yeah. So the very serious criminal allegations of stalking and domestic abuse were not just so flippantly disregarded, but him jerking off, some fucking chick shows her butthole on OnlyFans, and that's a huge problem. I love it. I gotta be honest, though. I've had this kind of belief, and you've heard me kind of ruminate on this throughout the pandemic, but I have to think that sites like OnlyFans throughout this whole thing have probably prevented a lot of intra-family violence. Like, I would think living in the suburbs seems like a fucking nightmare in a lot of ways. And I feel like, and I can't, obviously this is not my own lived experience, but just the looks on the faces of guys who are like married with families who live out in suburbia, I feel like they're probably a healthy chunk of them who spent the entirety of lockdown just locked in the fucking bathroom with the phone, looking at like amateur buttholes and jerking off. Because do you remember what the kind of basic white bitch was like during lockdown, like when all that shit, when everything first kind of popped off? They were getting fucking sloshed on Zoom happy hours every night. They were staring out the fucking windows, calling the police on people for going out without a fucking mask on. They were Lysoling everything. The fuck. They were banging. They were recording themselves. So many suburban white women were recording themselves walking around their homes, clanging pots and pans every night at 6 p.m. and putting it on social media, under the guise of doing it to support the first responders. Obviously, we know that had nothing to do with the first responders. It was, they wanted the attention, they wanted the social media clout, the likes. Oh my god, you loved the first responders so much that you were walking around banging pots and pans like a fucking asshole every night at 6 p.m. Could you imagine if you were a frontline worker and you live next door to one of these shitheads and you get off like a 12-hour shift, you're wearing one of those fucking space suits because you don't want to, that was back when everyone thought COVID was like actually bad. Now it's the fucking sniffles. And you're just about to doze off and all of a sudden the fucking lunatic next door is just hammering a couple frying pans together. So these guys are living with this, and literally you're just stuck with them. Fucking, there's no escape. Like, you could go to the office, and if you were kind of like, the married dad bod counterpart to the basic pot and pan banging white bitch, your life used to be like, okay, you have an annoying wife, but like maybe she's like kind of cute, because like most basic bitches are pretty put together because they all do Pilates and shit like that. And she's cool with you having a fucking dad bod because it's kind of en vogue in certain circles now. And you guys just get hammered on White Claw together on weekends. You got a couple kids, and that's that. Your combined incomes afford you a very nice lifestyle. You get away from her 40 hours a week at the office. You bullshit with the guys. You have a great time, and it's fun for you. But now all of a sudden you're with this wacko, just in perpetuity with no end. The government has told you that there will be no end in sight to the consecutive hours that you will be spending with this woman, and especially if she's really into COVID culture, like the idea of you even going out for a fucking walk in the park, probably off the table. So I have to think that for these guys who, OnlyFans skyrocketed in popularity during the lockdown, I have to think that these guys who were jerking off to the girl next door who was filming her pussy with an iPhone, that was the only thing keeping these guys sane, and the only thing preventing the suburbs from just being littered with the bodies of murder-suicide victims. Like, one of the sort of post du jour in the stories du jour in the New York Post for a lot are like these things where some guy just goes berserk and fucking whacks his entire family and then himself. Like, they run those all the time. I'm convinced that we would have been seeing several of those a day if guys couldn't escape to the bathroom to jerk off to cam girls. Like, I really think that was a huge... When the history books are written, when people kind of do a breakdown of what was going on in this time and place in America, I think we're going to say that a lot of lives were saved because some fucking community college chick living in a studio apartment decided to upload pictures of her friend licking her toes to a page that sat behind a paywall. And these guys were lucky enough to find that as an outlet instead of killing their families and then themselves, because that would be tragic. So I think that Herschel Walker, being a politician, I think he should lean into jerking off to OnlyFans. I think it will make him ahead of his time, sort of like when Bill Clinton admitted to smoking weed, Herschel Walker could admit to jerking off to cam girls, right? Clinton didn't inhale, Herschel maybe didn't ejaculate. Neither of those sound like a lot of fun. You should inhale and you should ejaculate. In any case, Walker's campaign has responded to the allegations. They said, "This is stupid. He follows or is followed by tens of thousands of people," Walker's campaign manager Scott Paradise said in a statement. Scott Paradise sounds like he's a guy who has his own OnlyFans jerk-off page. Scott Paradise sounds like he's like running some sort of twink page for himself where he jacks off all over his belly and rubs it in, and fucking, married men watch it discreetly on their like they park in the parking lot behind a 7-Eleven, and they watch Scott Paradise's jack-off videos. And they think of that time they could have experimented in college. I know what's going on with you suburban dads. You fucking deviant creeps. jerking off to jerk off pages. Yeah. I think Herschel should fucking lean into this seriously. Hold on a second. I'm sorry, my fucking oh, I couldn't see there. Yeah. Release. Got distracted by some people walking up the stairs. Release his internet search history the way they do with tax returns, and demand. Hold on. Ugh. And demand that other politicians do the same. So, if fucking, say, what's her name? The chick. Lady G is jerking off to Scott Paradise. And, 7-Eleven, parking lot, fucking Lindsey Graham tuned into the video on his way to Congress. He's parking back there and tugging his hog to Scott Paradise. You run against Lindsey Graham and you say, hey, I'm Herschel Walker. This is what I've been jerking off to. Let's see yours. Now Lindsey Graham releases his. He's got no choice. People are gonna be like, look, you're jerking off to Scott Paradise, or you're not. Let's see it. Like they do with the tax returns. I think that would be a lot of fun. Think of the things we would find out about our elected officials. Excuse me. I obviously I don't work with the best set of eyes here. I should probably get this shit fixed. But wouldn't it be tremendous if we could find out who's looking at Asian teens, who's looking at BBWs, which members of the Christian Coalition are into well-hung twinks? Is Ted Cruz dabbling in gilf porn, right? Is Ted Cruz sitting in his car outside of an assisted living facility? Does he stop? But does he go in and say, I'm interested in renting a room for my grandmother. May I have some brochures? And walking out into his car and pleasuring himself to pamphlets filled with elderly women on walkers. The people demand to know this. Sorry. I did hit the vape very hard before recording this, so it is we're a little loopy this morning. I would also like to hear "This is stupid" used more often in our political media diaspora, because there's so many just fucking busybodies out there, just like annoying nerdy types who want to tell everyone kind of what and how to think, like people who call the homeless undomiciled, I think, are a great example of this. Like when someone gets thrown in front of a train by a vagrant on PCP, and someone says, please don't call them homeless, you call them undomiciled. We get to say, this is stupid. We get to call you a fucking idiot for that. But yeah, so that's that. In summary, what you missed while I was silent last week is that I think Herschel Walker should get out ahead of things, release his masturbation video history, so that we can now hold our politicians accountable for what they're tugging it to, or at least to not even to hold them accountable, because I think you should be able to, if you want to jerk off to twink jerk off videos, if you want to jerk off to grandmas, if you want to jerk off to BBWs, to Asian chicks, to whatever, jerk off to it. But I think it gives us a more well-rounded vision of who our elected officials are than the same way we do when we look at their tax returns. So it's, if you guys are the voting public, I would like to to see us get something going behind this. And of course, there was also, it was during this story that I'm going to do that I realized what was going on, because I went to pull up a picture, and I have the same picture. I have the same picture here today, and we'll take a look at it. It's what I call a high school reunion story. The idea of a high school reunion story is that you go to your reunion, and it's going to be mostly, those suburban dads who I was talking about, who masturbate to girl next door videos, or they discreetly jerk off to twink videos behind convenience stores, or they're paying some fucking Latina chick for pictures of her feet. Those same dads and their pot banging wives are going to be, they're the ones you're going to see at your high school reunion. And these people, now, while on the surface they seem kind of interesting, these are an interest who, you got this house where the dad's jerking off to fucking amateurs on the internet, and he's doing it fucking just nonstop round the clock, and his wife walks around banging pots and pans. You would think, oh, this might be an interesting duo to talk to. Like, what's up with the pots and pans? So you're really into Asian feet binding, aren't you? But it turns out that they're not very interesting. All they want to do is talk about their kids and like fantasy football, and like maybe, I bet the dad's into crypto a little bit. That seems about right. So you want something good to talk about. You want to talk about a classmate. Now, if one of these dads gets caught in his car jerking off behind the 7-Eleven, now you got something to talk about. That's what I call a high school reunion story. It could be anything. It could be a crime. Someone gets exposed for a weird sex thing. Maybe they do a viral. Maybe one of the chicks you went to high school with is a Karen who goes viral. Lots of avenues for this. So this guy, high school reunioned himself by dying surrounded by hundreds of snakes. And I think that is a perfect high school reunion story. A Maryland man was found dead in his home, surrounded by over 100 venomous and non-venomous snakes, officials said Thursday. Police had responded to the 49-year-old man's home after a neighbor reported he saw the man lying on the floor, unconscious, after he went to check on him after not seeing him for more than a day, the Charles County Sheriff's Department said in a statement. EMS and fire officials forced their way through the front door of the home, where they pronounced the man dead. Police said there was no evidence of foul play, and the man's body was transported to the office of the chief medical examiner, blah, 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 blah. No evidence of foul play, except for the part where this guy owns just hundreds of fucking snakes. Like, that's a weird thing to do. And I feel like that's part of the fun of this being a high school reunion story, is everyone knew the weird lizard kid that you grew up with. So this is something that you can really, not only is the story interesting, but it'll probably spark a fun trip down memory lane, because everyone's going to have had a kind of interaction with the weird lizard kid when they were growing up, and now it's like, yeah, did you hear? He was found dead surrounded by a bunch of fucking snakes. And look, I love all creatures. I feel bad about killing insects. Like that, I try to avoid stuff. We have the spotted lanternfly around here in New Jersey, and apparently we have to kill them on site because they're bad for like they destroy trees or some shit. They fuck up the ecosystem somehow. We've been ordered to kill them. So there's a spotted lanternfly holocaust going on in New Jersey. But I don't like to do it. I feel bad about it. It's like when you whack somebody in the mafia who is like a good friend. You have to do it. You don't have a choice because you're in the mob and it's your job. But also you feel kind of bad about it. In any case, snakes to me are up there with ferrets as far as weird pets go. I don't understand people who always a kid who had like ferrets or something. I'm sure you went to high school with a ferret kid. And those kids had, I think, a lot in common with the lizard kid. Always weird to go to a ferret kid's house because there's a fucking ferret running around the house. Dog, I get. Cat, goldfish, backyard chicken coop, purebred gerbils at Richard Gere's house. I understand the ownership of all of these things. You don't need a snake. If you're into snakes, go to see them at the zoo. No one needs a snake so badly that they have hundreds of them in their house so they can be surrounded by them at all times. And don't bring them into a neighborhood either. Your neighbors don't want to live by the snake guy. And a snake is, I don't think it's this is like one of those things where it's like, it should probably be illegal to own like, a nuclear material in your home because the pure proximity of your neighbors puts them at risk. You're infringing on their safety by housing nuclear material. I think the same logic should be applied to snakes. He had 100 snakes of several varieties. The neighbors were unaware of too. Like at least if you know about the snakes, you can you keep sleep with one eye open, as it were, as as unpleasant as that is. But over 125 snakes. So what I really don't understand is how you manage to get laid under these conditions. If I'm planning on bringing a woman over, I do such a thorough cleaning of my apartment. I mean, fucking spotless. How do you bring a date back and set the mood when you walk through the foyer and there's like a refrigerator full of dead mice, and there's a king cobra inside of a fish tank on the fucking coffee table? Like I don't understand how you do that. I almost, if you were a huge weirdo and you had one snake, okay, you can keep one snake a secret. Anything over a dozen is gonna stand out. And the biggest one in the fucking home, and this is actually last week, this is when I noticed the audio was fucked up because I went to pull this image up and I saw the comments and it was whatchamacallit. Everyone's like, "Hey, dumbass, your your audio cut out." So let me pull up. Sorry. This is what a fucking 14-foot... Wrong one. There it is. So this guy, this is not the one that they found. But this is This is a 14-foot python. If you have a fucking 14-foot python in the house is no longer your house. It's the python's house. It's not you. It's not even your neighborhood anymore. Like, that is the python now owns that neighborhood. Like, the last thing you need is for what the fuck happens. The python is going to escape at some point. I feel like a house in the suburbs cannot adequately contain a python. And the last thing you need is for the python to escape. You're coming home one night, you're a little boozed up, you trip over the fucking sprinkler or some shit, and the next thing you know, you're being crushed to death because the asshole next door forgot to feed his 14-foot python before he went out of town, and the python broke out and decided to do a little hunting, and you look delicious. That's an inevitability. But the point is, this is the kind of thing that if you grew up with a lizard guy and he got, he was found dead surrounded by 125 snakes, that's the kind of thing it's a great talker at the high school reunion. Far better than hearing, like a wine mom talk about her daughter's TikTok page. Oh, big fucking shit. Your kid's got what? Oh, your kid has 200,000 followers. Okay. Great. That's not fucking interesting. You want interesting? Remember the fucking lizard kid? Did you hear how he died? Surrounded by 125 snakes. This asshole had a fucking 14-foot python in his house. That's something that gets the conversation going. Hey, did you hear about Scott and Joey? Yeah, they got caught jerking off in a car together. Scott and Joey are my brother and brother-in-law. I was implying that they masturbate in a vehicle together. I always go with, I have a great fucking college reunion story. A guy in my physics class was fucking busted in one of those. He wasn't on To Catch a Predator. He was busted on it wasn't a video or anything. It was just a police sting because he had gotten caught talking to an actual girl online. He got caught by the girl's mother, and then she reported him, and I don't know, I forget how it all actually went down. And I'm not making this up. Like, it was in the Allentown Morning Call. It was on the front page. He got caught doing that, so they set up like a sting, and he told the undercover that he was going to, that they could get, he'd pick her up at the train station and they could go back to his dorm room, or like his off-campus house, and they could smoke weed and fool around. And he pulls up at the train station, and the cops just immediately surround the car. And they said, my favorite part of the article was that they said when the cops showed up, he just kind of shrugged his shoulders. And his picture was on the front page of the Allentown Morning Call the day it happened. And I had physics class with him. I forget. It might have been the previous semester that I had physics class with him. But yeah, it was funny. Like, people were naming their fucking, they used to do bar trivia at the bar off campus, and people were naming their trivia teams after him. It was very funny. It was an awesome thing to have happening. Not for him, obviously, but it was a very funny thing to have happen. Anyway, Python be damned. Let us continue with the the show here. Conference championship weekend is upon us. The division round, amazing. The best weekend of football I can remember ever seeing. I have to be more present when I watch these games. I'll have the game on like while I'm cooking, or I'll go to look up a stat on my phone. And unless it's the Cowboys, I'm glued to like every play. But like if I'm just like I'll just have the game on and do all because I live in a studio apartment, so it's just kind of convenient. You put the game on and then you do a bunch of shit. But these games were so fucking exciting. It was like I'd be trying to cook a steak and I'd be like turning to crane my fucking neck to watch because it was like something was happening every 30 seconds. Just fantastic stuff. So I'm very fucking spacey today. I don't know why. The power drive usually turns the brain on. Maybe it's possible I took too many hits off the old vape ski before I started. That might be why I'm spacing a little bit. Maybe it's all the concussions. No, I only had two minor ones a long time ago. I feel like the negative effects would have kicked in. I'm sure probably the lack of sleep and all the weed. Anyway, as a Cowboys fan, I'm supposed to hate the Green Bay Packers. But I do respect the Packers just because they're a legendary franchise. I have a Ray Nitschke autographed picture on the wall in my gym over here. And I was actually rooting for the Packers to win because, I mean, I can't stand the fucking Niners either. Like, that's another Cowboys rival. So I'm like, fuck it, I'll root for Aaron Rodgers. And I especially support that he's just been pissing people off because I operate in my world pretty much as if COVID doesn't really exist. I carry the Vax card, I carry a mask if I need to take either one out, either out and use it at a particular location. That's that. Otherwise, I'm not paying attention to this variant or that variant or any of that fucking shit. It just doesn't really exist in my world. So, people who are obsessed with COVID just drive me up a fucking wall. I'm really not interested. To me, my biggest interest in COVID is kind of observing the people who are obsessed with COVID. Like the people who have really kind of become a sort of Gestapo where they think they can stop you anywhere and ask your status. So Aaron Rodgers told the press that he was immunized, and they took that as him saying he was vaccinated. And obviously that's a little shifty. We know what he was doing, but I also appreciate the fact that he did it because, kind of fuck the media. Like, why are you up his ass about it in the first place? Ask football players questions about football, okay? Not everyone needs to be publicly accountable about the way they have chosen to handle COVID. We don't do this for the most part with other vaccines. People were anti-vax to some degree or another forever. Like, and it used to not get much more attention beyond like a People magazine article, like, oh, so and so is a fucking anti-vax vegan or whatever the fuck. Now we're like, everyone's gonna get fucking COVID eventually. So who gives a shit? You're either gonna get it or you're not. Like, plenty of vaccinated people. But my friend just texted me the other day. He's vaccinated. He fucking got it. He texted me to tell me he was positive. I was like, oh, HIV? Fucking. But yeah, I don't see what the big fucking deal is. I don't know why it's just become this mark of pride to accost people if they've opted to go a different route in protecting themselves against a virus. So anyway, Green Bay lost, and the nerds were having a fucking field day with it. Twitter was just like it was like one big party for everyone who ever got stuffed inside a locker in high school. In fact, I would venture a guess that the same people who are tweeting about Joe Rogan right now were last week tweeting about Aaron Rodgers. I feel like a lot of crossover there, which is it's hilarious, by the way, because I love professional athletes. Like having been like I was a pretty good high school athlete and I was a very mediocre Division 3 college athlete. So I understand what it takes to play at like that level, which is if you're doing that, if you're playing Division 3 sports, you're better than most people. So to play a Division 1 sport and then to play professionally, just the fucking rarefied air that those guys, even the worst professional athlete is a world-class athlete. So I think it's hilarious when the biggest critics of these guys are the dad bod guys. You remember our suburban father from before who enjoys, jacking off to fucking some German broad, named Ursula who shits on a fucking a plate glass coffee table and puts a camera underneath. That guy, when he's not sneaking away from his family to shove a vibrating butt plug up his ass and jack off to amateur porn. He's at the bar eating wings and he's chugging Miller Lite. And he, that morning he committed 3 errors and struck out twice in his adult kickball league. And he's screaming at the TV that a guy who, dedicates his life to the craft of being a professional athlete. He's screaming that this motherfucker's slow and lazy and that he sucks. It's that guy, and then conversely, the kid who quit Little League in 4th grade because everybody would yell "move in" when he got up to bat. Those are the 2 guys who are the most critical of professional athletes. And I always love that. That has always been really entertaining to me. Like, I hate going to the bar to watch games because those guys are there. But also, I love going to the bar to watch games because those guys are there. And they're incredibly fucking entertaining just to kind of observe in their element. If you're trying to watch your team play, it kind of sucks to have them around because they're fucking annoying. But if you can just kind of watch it in like a fish tank style setting, very, very rewarding, very satisfying. I also wanted the Buffalo Bills to win, which they did not, because I like Pat Mahomes. He's a great football player. He's a lot of fun to watch, and he does those cheeky car insurance commercials. But I like Mahomes. But I wanted him to lose because of his stupid fucking brother. His brother is one of the most irritating people on the fucking planet. I know people don't like his fiance either. I don't really that I'm less interested in. She bothers me less for whatever reason. I'm sure I would find her annoying. But what's his name? Jackson Mahomes. He's like I don't want to disrespect Billy Carter by calling him the Billy Carter of the NFL. I mean, he's just a fucking irritating douche who's obsessed with social media clout. And let me pull, I have this. I can't fucking stand this guy. Yeah. So, Jackson Mahomes, the brother of Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes, is in hot water in Kansas City this week after an incident at a local bar. SOT in Kansas City posted a scathing response to Mahomes, who slammed the bar on Instagram after it was unable to seat his party earlier in the week. So, I guess what happened is Jackson Mahomes goes to this bar. I guess it's what's it called? SOT. Um, and he Instagrams who has been to SOT. The service is absolutely terrible, and the bartenders are so rude. I would not recommend. And he tagged the fucking bar in it. So this guy, whose brother is a millionaire many times over, I believe their father, I think, played for the New York Mets. He was a professional baseball player. Pretty much financially set for life. Now, and doors open of all kinds for this guy. Just, has probably not. I don't know how the Mahomes has raised their kid, but there's just you get the impression that Jackson here was a little bit pampered, because I guess what happened was this is a very small bar, and Jackson Mahomes comes in with like a loud and partying entourage, and they were just like, "Look, guys, we're not equipped to handle you. Like, people are in here. It's like a couple of people sipping pints of IPAs. We're not in here popping fucking bottles." And he goes out and attempts to use his massive social media following to fucking torpedo a small business. Like, even if you had a legitimate gripe against them, this would not be the way to handle it. I don't know what the way to handle it is. Probably just go to a different place and not make a big thing out of it. But the bar did respond. They wrote an open letter to him, I guess. "Dear at Jackson Mahomes, we are sorry that we set boundaries that you tried to ignore. Oftentimes, people with unearned status and a sense of entitlement think they are above the rules and will lash out at the employees enforcing them. We are sorry that we could not seat your very large group. As you probably saw, our bar is very small." And that's a great point. Like, the employees enforcing them, like, people who work in bars, like, versus a guy who comes from professional athlete money. Like, people working in bars are, like, they're usually, like, students, or maybe, a single parent trying to make a couple extra bucks, or someone who's trying to get, some other career off the ground and they need to hustle to make a little bit of cash. And this guy comes in who's relatively ballin' in life. Like, he's watching games, he's popping champagne in a fucking luxury box as he watches his star quarterback brother. Like, this guy's life is pretty fucking set. And he tries to hurt a fucking small business. So they say, "We're very sorry that you have the reach that you do, or at least that you think you do, and that instead of using it for something positive, you decided to use it to try and crush a small business." And they tag it with, "We survived a global pandemic, we'll survive your ego." And this is not the first time he has annoyed the shit out of people on social media, by the way. Earlier this year, he poured water on Ravens fans who were taunting him at a Chiefs game, and he filmed himself in a TikTok video dancing on Sean Taylor's number during the memorial for the Washington safety's life. So yeah, the guy is just an absolute fucking tool, and I don't want him in any way involved in or enjoying the spotlight that the Super Bowl provides, because he's going to be all over fucking everything if that happens. So it is imperative that the Chiefs lose this week. It can't fucking I'm not taking 2 more weeks of this jerk off, along with the possibility that we have to watch him celebrating a Super Bowl victory. I just can't fucking. This guy sucks. He fucking sucks. And that was really the point I wanted to finish on today, was that Jackson Mahomes is a fucking tool, and because of that, we need the Chiefs to lose. I was really, really rooting for the fucking Bills last week. I'm not into this whole bitching about NFL overtime thing. Like, this idea that, this team is somehow... You gotta play fucking defense. You have to keep a team out of the end zone. Just keep them out of the end zone. They kick a field goal, you can go and tie it up. You gotta keep them out of the fucking end zone. Like, that's just... you know, I don't have a huge issue with it. It's the sport of football. If you while defending intercept a pass and take it to the house, then you win the game. If you stop them and you kick a field goal, you win the game. I don't have a huge issue with it. I think it's just one of those things where there's this knee-jerk reaction that, like, people feel bad for the team that loses a shootout game like that, and we just have this weird fucking sense of, like, we want justice to be, like, applied. We want things to be applied in ways that just kind of ease our immediate discomfort with something without just being like, oh, well, no, this is just the way it works. It sucks to lose in overtime, but teams lose in overtime. Anyway, I have a boat show to get to, so let me bring these big ass titties back up on screen. Where are those jugs at? Oh yeah. That's good stuff. I wonder if she has an OnlyFans. Questions. Yep, the big tits are back up. A reminder at the end of the show, once again, to like, to share, to subscribe, to tell your friends, hey, we're here. We're talking about the important issues of the day. Guys with too many snakes. Bad audio. Guys jerking off to OnlyFans. Women banging pots and pans. Social media douchebags. All of those wonderful things we talked about today. And if you don't like those things, if you're not interested, if you think Snake Guy's story sucks, fuck you. That is your right. But we also have big tits. Start and end of every show. Check out the titties. Even if the show sucks, at least you get to look at a nice set of honkers. And that's that. So tell your friends. Facebook.com/The Savage Crew. Mike Montone on YouTube. Twitter at Mike Montone. At Gary _Moyler, MOYLER on Instagram. And, of course, the Savage Sacktap, the podcast, available all over the place, wherever you can find podcasts. So check it out. And I should be back live next week, hopefully. Anyway, adios, bitches.